DJ Ferris.
It's Chicago, nigga.
It's the real one.
Hit me.
Only one that's pulling shit.
Let's get to sports talk.
Penn State head coach James Franklin was talking with our Heather Dinich yesterday, and listen to what he said.
I can't imagine that right now we're all going to open at the same time. I don't see a conference, not just the Big Ten, but any conference, penalizing 80% or 75% of the schools because, 25% of them can't open. To me, unless there's a level playing field and the NCAA comes out and says that no one's opening before this date to try to help with that, what you really end up doing is you end up hurting the conference. Say 2 or 3 of the schools in our conference that are ranked in the top 10 have the ability to open, and a couple schools that don't, and you make the decision to hold the entire conference back, you're really hurting the conference as a whole in terms of their ability to compete.
All right, so again, that's James Franklin, and Marcus is back with us, and Laura Rutledge and Desmond Howard are with us here. And Laura, I want to start with you because, I had Will Muschamp on here a little earlier, and he didn't want to go anywhere near this topic, and I feel like on the record, that's the way most coaches are handling it. So how would you describe the significance of a guy like James Franklin, a big coach at a big school, saying that out loud?
Yeah, look, I think a lot of these coaches and a lot of them that I've talked to as well don't want to go anywhere near this, mainly because they're all over the place in how they feel about it. There are differing opinions in what should happen and then even how they should bring players back and how they get them ready to play. It's just so much and so complicated. So the fact that James Franklin came out and said this, I think this is a sentiment, what he's saying, that, hey, look, some of us may need to play and some other schools may not be able to. That's something that's significant because it really is something that a lot of people believe in, but it's not necessarily something that people want to admit to because it does leave out some schools potentially. And more, I continue to hear a lot of these people off the record saying, yes, that may be the best option. One thing that's really important there, when it comes to revenue, I've heard some ideas about some sort of revenue sharing that could happen to at least spread out some of the wealth if some of the schools are able to play and some aren't. But to Marcus's point earlier on in the show, you're not going to see this happen if it's only a couple of schools that can play. It's got to be a couple that can't play and the majority that can. So maybe in some conferences you see 8 schools able to play.
It's a lot of confusion. Some schools are going to play and some schools not. It's difficulty of trying to figure out all this schedule that's going on, how they going to open up, and some schools are not going to open up the same day. Some gonna open up down the line, and some gonna open up right there on the opening day. It's so much confusion, and they need to figure that out, what they want to do with this schedule.
And this is just hypothetical, but who knows? I mean, it's all still so up in the air. A lot of these conferences still, I talked to one Power 5 commissioner yesterday who said, look, we still have time on our side. We've still got until about the end of this month to make some sort of decision about the summer and then, of course, the fall following that. So they feel like time is on their side, which helps them a lot here. He said, look, so much has changed in 1 month. Who knows what the situation will be toward the end of May, early June.
Desmond, obviously there with the college game day. I mean, you follow this all season long and so closely. What do you think of that idea that right there in the Big Ten where you played your college football, if a couple of schools can't play, the rest of them would go on and play out a season?
Well, Greeny, if it was a utopia, then it would make sense that you would say all or nothing. But under the present conditions that we're dealing with,
some teams gonna play in September. Some not. They're going to play out of it. So that's why there's a lot of confusion right there. That's what Franklin trying to point out. It's a lot of confusion of some teams can play here. Some can't. They got to play out of season. And it's a toss-up right now. Like, you trying to figure out all this confusion. You don't know what's going to happen the next month. What's going to change. The schedule could change. The season could be pushed back. It's so much that's going into this. And that's why you see there's a lot of confusion of you don't know when it's going to change in the next months.
In this country, I think it makes a lot of sense. And it has to be just a couple of teams, though. I think Laura made an excellent point. I spoke to an athletic director the other night about this topic. And when I watched, he said the same thing. Like, if there's two teams, then you don't penalize the whole conference because two teams can't play. Maybe they'll be able to play later in the season. You never know, because all of them are under the guidelines and restrictions of the governor of that state. So let's just say if it was the Big Ten, and the governor of Michigan said that the state was closed, now you got two schools in the Big Ten that wouldn't be able to participate. The University of Michigan and Michigan State University. But if the other schools could play, the other 12 schools could play because their states are open, then it wouldn't make much sense to penalize the whole conference just because two schools couldn't play. Now, you're right. I watched the Muschamp interview a little earlier, and he sidestepped this question. But one thing that he said that was important was that the SEC's commissioner said that it would be a unified.
You can't penalize a school in that conference and make everybody in that conference suffer because they can't play. It's not their fault. This situation going on. It's not on them. They ain't wait to say, "Oh, let this situation come." You can't penalize everyone because of something they can't control. It's out of their hands. That's a messed up situation right there. If you do penalize a whole conference because a team can't play.
Decision. Now that could be interpreted as either all or nothing, meaning all the SEC schools play or no one's going to play, or it could mean we'll just take a vote. And the unanimous vote will win, meaning if it's 12 schools that can play and two can't, then we'll still move forward with playing the season. So the subject is very complex. It's very early, but James Franklin didn't really speak out of turn like a lot of people think he did.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube.